In this video, I'm going to break down the 4 core skills that separate amateurs from master YouTube strategists and the people who can actually take any channel and grow it systematically while hitting business goals. So let's get into it. So skill number 1 is to pretty much master video psychology. And this is when you pretty much understand the psychological triggers that make people want to click a video, to actually click it, watch it, and take action. And this matters because you can have the perfect production, but if you don't actually understand the psychology that you need to convert viewers into customers, then it's never going to work out. So here's exactly how to develop it. So the first thing you want to actually do is, let me just move it over here. The first thing you actually want to do is study your audience's specific pain points and desires. So I'm going to put it here. PP is going to be for pain points. I'll put it like that. Let me just put this so it doesn't look weird. And then desires, right? So pain points and desires. So those are the 2 things that you actually want to study, your audience's pain points and desires. And I know this is really basic, so I'm not going to get more into this, but just pretty much do this. That's the first thing you want to do. The second thing you want to do is actually learn specific frameworks. For example, I'll give you a good one here. For the intro, you want to use the what, why, how framework. And this pretty much explains, in the intro, like the first 30 seconds of the video, or even if you're doing B2B, it should be less, like maybe 10 to 15 seconds, or even less than that, or just cut out the intro altogether for B2B. But for the average, YouTube intro is going to be what, why, how. So what we're talking about today is why it's important is because, and how I'm going to help you fix it is because, pretty much that framework. That framework works super well. So for number 2, I'm just going to put different frameworks. And there's also a bunch of different other frameworks that you can use in videos like PASS, pain amplify solution, things like this. Forgive me with my slow handwriting. I'm on my phone right there. So the third thing you actually want to do is actually understand attention patterns and retention psychology. So for example, and this actually happened in my agency a couple days ago, we had an inbound lead from X and they have a channel that actually targets people in sales, people who want to become sales reps, people who actually want high ticket sales reps roles and positions. So we made them a thumbnail, and pretty much when I received it, like the first draft, it was saying pretty much Stripe, add Stripe, and it was pretty much just like a B2B kind of video. And it was like, okay, we can tell this is targeting people in the sales niche, but it's not targeting sales reps. Like it's not specific enough. And pretty much what we, got down to is that, for example, this is a really little part of the actual thumbnail. I'm not going to show it or anything just in case the potential client wants to stay anonymous, plus, first impressions, everything like that. But for example, the little part of the thumbnail that we didn't like was that it said Stripe, because a lot of sales reps don't really even get Stripe notifications. That's really for like, if you have like a software company, maybe you're an e-com, you're getting subscription payments, e-com payments, etc. They don't really use Stripe. What they do use though is Cash App, they use Venmo, they use Zelle, maybe even PayPal, things like this, right? And so that one detail can make or break your credibility, and it's super important that you actually study your pain points and desires of your ICP and you actually master that. So that's an example that, understanding your actual audience is going to make or break your YouTube video packaging. And that kind of gets into skill 2 a little bit, but before that, I want to give you another example. So like I said earlier, if you're targeting people in the B2B niche, they don't care about a 5-minute intro. They don't care about, your 2-minute introduction about who you are, where you came from, where you were born, everything like that, who your mom is, what hospital you were in, what your favorite food is. They don't care about that. What they care about is the real juicy part of the video. How are you going to make them that money? How are you going to make them the ROI for them to invest in something, whether it's your course, anything like that. Business owners don't care unless they're going to make an ROI. So you need to make that clear. You need to lead forward with that. So for number 3, we're just going to put pretty much attention and psychology. I'll put PSY for psychology. Forgive my handwriting, but it is what it is. You guys are already getting the value from me actually talking. So skill number 2 is actually going to be strategic packaging. And so what this pretty much means is that you need to create thumbnails and titles that attract your target audience, not just anyone. And this is really important. I want you to remember this. Random views don't pay the bills, but qualified views pay the bills, right? So you can get a bunch of views, sure, but if they aren't qualified to go into your offer, what's the point of getting the views? It doesn't really matter, right? So that's exactly why, and I say this in like almost every video, big YouTubers like Jordan Welsh, Iman Gaji, even Alex Becker create these business channels that are way smaller and target a small specific audience that is actually qualified and can afford higher ticket services, so they can actually, make more money from their actual other channels, because their main channel is too top of the funnel and they pretty much can only like funnel people into like low ticket offers, maybe even mid ticket, high ticket. They're not going to get their target audience that they're looking for, because no person making a ton of money is watching top of the funnel content, how to make 10K a month videos. No one's watching that if you're making a lot of money. So first, skill number 2, strategic packaging. The first thing you want to do is, to develop this skill is to pretty much research what your specific market responds to. So let me put it here, research. So pretty much you want to research what your specific market is responding to. And what I mean by that is whether you're in the e-com niche, the dental niche, the sports niche, you want to figure out what type of marketing do most people use to get them into their offer. So for example, in the e-com niche, what are most people doing to get those e-com people into their offer? They're stating the ROI, they're stating how my thing can help you get your goal, right? That's pretty much what most offers are, essentially. Maybe in sports, if you're targeting people who want to get better at soccer, you're pretty much pitching how my offer is going to help you get better at your goal, which is getting better at soccer. Pretty much just like that. And another way you can actually do this, so let me put offer here actually. And another way you can actually do this is by using specific wording. Maybe they use in that niche, maybe specific logos. For example, we said earlier about sales reps. Maybe they use like Zelle, Cash App, things like that. And maybe business owners would care about more things like Shopify or Stripe. Those are for e-com, I guess you could say. So pretty much you want to do certain things like that. So wording, so words and as well as logos, we can say as well. The second thing that I want you to do is test different psychological angles. So this pretty much comes back to like number one, which is like researching about your specific market. So research what will get them to buy more. You know, once you actually have that set up, once you have that written down on a piece of paper, what's going to get them to buy more? Second step, what's going to make them not buy? What's going to stop them from actually going through and buying? Maybe that should be the first one, or maybe the second one. Either way, these questions need to be answered. So what's not going to get them to buy? And then you fix that problem. Third, what's going to get them to buy even more? Because you figured out how to make them buy, you figured out what's going to prevent them from buying, and you took that out. Now, how can you make them to buy even more? You know, get up that average order value, get up that AOV. And then after that comes retention. Things like this. It's really simple once you actually get into it, but pretty much just figuring these things out. Strategic packaging. What's going to get them to the video? So this is for YouTube now. What's going to get them to actually click the video? Why wouldn't they click the video? How can I get them to watch the video? How can I get them to stay watching the whole entire video? It's pretty much just like this. So you need to master these specific parts of a video. This is how you become a master content strategist. And you know, once you figure this out, literally YouTube for you is going to be a booming client acquisition source. Trust me, I've seen it before and it's insane. And even if you post a video now that literally doesn't get any views, trust me, a year or two later, even 6 months down the line, it can get a ton of views. I've seen it for clients, and every time I look at that, like that dashboard for that video in YouTube, I'm like, this is just insane. Like, this is insane. It starts off flat like this, and then boom, just like that, out of nowhere. I don't know how to explain it, but it just works. The third thing I want you to do when it comes to learning the skill of strategic packaging is understanding the difference between curiosity and clarity. So I'm going to say the difference between like B2B and B2C. When it comes to B2B, you want to be very clear, you want to be very direct. When it comes to B2C, you can actually add a lot more curiosity-driven things, a lot more curiosity-driven thumbnails, curiosity-driven titles. B2B, you want to be very direct with the audience because they don't want you to, you know, cut corners. They don't want to be like, okay, what's this guy going to talk about? Be very direct with them. Business owners don't want to, you know, play these tricks and games and loops and go through different tunnels and stuff. They don't want to do that. They just want to go through a straight tunnel. If you're targeting consumers, you know, customers, B2C, you can put them through as many tunnels as you want to. So that's pretty much number three, or skill number two, sorry. And then when it comes to actually number three, you want to pretty much leverage analytics. So let me erase this really quick. Why is that here? So you want to leverage analytics pretty much. So this is pretty much you reading data to diagnose problems and optimize performance. So let me put that right here. So let me put read data, and I'll explain a little bit. So for example, for a YouTube video, it would be CTR, it would be watch time, it would be things like, you know, where did the video spike? Like, where did most people click to go to the video? Where did the spike dip? Like, where did most people click off the video? You know, the traffic sources, the age report, because the more you know about your audience, the more you can do your targeting properly, the more you can sell them, because the more you understand about them, the more you can hit those different pain points that you might have missed if you didn't know about them. For example, the age group. If you're targeting people who are 18 to 25, but your videos are getting people who are like 45 to 60, that's a huge difference. I actually feel kind of bad for you. But what you need to start doing is introducing a lot more modern things. Maybe make your videos a lot faster. Maybe, you know, speed up your videos a little bit. Maybe talk a little bit faster. Maybe use more animations. Get those older people out of the way, because they're gonna watch if it's like a slow video. If you're talking really slow, you sound a little bit not boring, but like you're talking slow, maybe talking like this a little bit. But if you're talking really fast like this and you're giving a bunch of value and maybe use a lot of edits everywhere, they're gonna watch the video. You know, the younger people are gonna watch the video. The older people can't handle that. They're gonna click off like, oh my gosh, this guy's targeting younger people. I can't watch this, right? So let me finish writing this. CTR, etc. And then number two, why it matters pretty much is because you can't measure properly and you can't like actually target your audience properly. And so to learn the skill of analytics intelligence, I just kind of talked about it. Pretty much you want to learn to spot retention drops and their causes, or maybe different analytics like CTR, watch time. Learn to spot these different things and learn how to deal with it. For example, I just gave how to deal with different age groups. Learn how to deal with maybe low CTR. Are you not targeting your audience properly when it comes to the wording in the thumbnail? Maybe you're not using logos that are adjacent to the person you're targeting. For example, I'm gonna say this again, sales reps. If you're using Stripe payments for sales reps, what are you doing? If you're using Cash App and Zelle and Venmo, they're going to understand that. They can actually understand that because that's what they use. They don't use Stripe because they don't have subscription-based models. They're only a sales rep. They don't have like a business online. So that's pretty much those two. And then when it comes to skill number 4, audience segmentation, let me just move this to the side. Let me erase that. Audience segmentation. Cool. So why I need to understand this one is because understanding different markets and how they speak is going to be kind of a hard thing for you to do, especially if you're generalized. But if you're niche down, it's going to be a lot easier because you're dealing with that niche every day. You already understand what they're talking about, what they're saying. And this matters because generic content gets generic results. So if you're really niched on YouTube, you're probably going to do pretty well in the long run. If you're very generalized, you can do well in the long run for sure, but it's going to be a lot harder for you because there's a lot of top of the funnel content out there, but there's not a lot of people solving specific problems. And those people solving specific problems are going to make a lot more money, I'd say, than those people trying to solve every single problem, right? So first thing you want to do is you want to study successful channels. So I'm just going to put study. So you want to study successful channels in your niche, or maybe in every single niche if you're generalized, and you want to understand why it's working. So you want to learn market-specific language, market-specific pain points, like we talked about earlier, the different logos, maybe the different tags, maybe they speak a different way, and just, things like this. Just understand their specific language, understand how they speak, understand how they move, understand maybe what type of laptop they use, maybe understand, get very specific. What type of cup do they use? Do they use these types of cups? Do they use black cups, orange cups, purple cups, things like this. Just get very, very specific, right? It doesn't have to be that specific. Don't worry. And then the third thing you want to do is understand what different audiences value. So I'm going to get into this a little bit, one of the case studies that I have actually. So let me show you really quickly. Going into my case studies, you can pretty much see I helped people in different niches. I have some more case studies coming out, but I have one from a SaaS niche. For example, everything I shared in this video is what I've been using, by the way. This is how we helped Poppy AI generate over 4.2K in 16 days using one YouTube video. You could watch that case study here. Maybe it's going to be up here or up here. One of these corners, you're going to find both case studies pop up with like a little card. You can click to watch that. And then the second one is going to be Diego. We helped them collect over 10K from his YouTube channel without posting more than 2 times per month in the span of 6 months. I don't think you understand how crazy that is. 2 times 6 is 12. 12 videos helped them collect over 10K. And if I do the math on that, actually, let me do it on my phone really quickly. 1.6K per video within a span of 6 months, only posting 2 times per month. That's insane. And if I do times 2, because he's posting 2 videos per month, that's over 3K per video that he earned, which is insane from YouTube. Only posting twice per month, by the way. So that's pretty insane. So hopefully you found the value from this video, but there's one downfall to actually trying to become a content strategist, and that's how much time it takes. So of course, if you want to work with my content agency to help you handle everything from the strategy and the scripting to the posting and the SEO and thumbnails, everything like that, even the editing, click the first link below to book a free call with me. I'll guide you every step of the way, and we'll see if you're qualified to work with us. Or if you're not ready, you can click the second link below to join my free newsletter. You get some free YouTube trainings there, and it's pretty much daily and it's free. So you'll want to subscribe to that. Thanks for watching, and YouTube thinks you enjoyed this video a lot more.